think it opens up a discussion that we should be having really and truly, is that, there's been a lot of discussion about this on Twitter about, we've seen people like Aaron Bastani and Michael Walker go on GB News a lot more very frequently, right? Very recently as well. We watched a couple of Aaron Bastani bits, one about water nationalisation, one about council workers moving to a 4-day work week. I thought Aaron did really well in the discussion around water nationalisation. All of the comments section clearly agreed with him that water should be nationalised. And yet Aaron Bastani did really badly on the discussion around the 4-day work week because he just didn't even bother telling them that productivity increased, right? They were trying to point out that, well, hang on a minute, well, if they're only working 4 days, then council taxpayers are getting less for their money. And I'm like, if they're being more productive, then they're getting more for their money. Like, they're more productive on a 4-day work week than they were in 5 days in totality, not per day. In totality, they were more productive. So actually, they're getting more for their money. And he just failed to point this stuff out. And Michael Walker did a Twitter thread about his justification for interacting with GB News. And I have some comments on this stuff. I have some comments. So, why I go on GB News? I think it'll be around for a while as they care more about entertainment value over news value and makes more for more engaging TV. Genuinely believe if you express an argument well, you can change people's minds. Maybe not immediately or a majority, but you can plant seeds, especially if you care about being persuasive to the broadest possible audience. I enjoy talking to people I disagree with and having to justify what I think. On some of the shows, you do get a decent chance to put your ideas across and have a reasoned debate. That said, I won't be doing Lee Anderson's show again. I mean, from the evidence we've just seen, based upon the setup they had beforehand, I really don't think that, going on Lee Anderson's show is something that's ever worth your time. I don't think sitting in a pub, having to speak to someone who's talking over their shoulder at you is a particularly good setup for a current affairs debate program. Media in UK is a dumpster fire. That's why we're building something independent in Novara, etc., etc. And then the final thought that's not particularly relevant, right? So I actually quote tweeted this with my own opinions of what's going on. But I think I'm just going to lay out my case. And I think that there is some merit to what Michael Walker is saying here. The main point that you get against lefties going on GB News is, oh, well, you're giving them perceived legitimacy, right? You are taking money from what are essentially the far right and then using that as if you're going to get some ideological traction on the other hand. So really and truly, I think at the start of GB News, I would agree with that position. I would absolutely agree with the GB News position, the not going on GB News position, because they shouldn't have been given legitimacy. They were given far too much legitimacy elsewhere in the media, and lefties rightly kind of ignored them for a very, very long time. And that kept their viewership down for quite a while. But it's starting to grow a lot now. Like the GB News YouTube channel has almost 1 million subscribers now. They aren't nobodies anymore. I mean, Sky News has 4 million. They have 1 million. They've been going for a couple of years at most, really and truly. So they're not a small channel anymore, right? It's not like you can ignore them into irrelevancy anymore. You're not going to gain anything from just not engaging with the platform once they're this size. You're not platforming them anymore. They're now platforming you. And I really don't think that just giving up the chance for additional reach, whether it might be theoretical reach as far as ideology is concerned, or just through people recognizing your own face as a leftist commentator, I don't think that you're giving any more credence than you otherwise would do now that they have such a massive platform in comparison. So Novara is clout chasing. I mean, it's basically clout chasing, but isn't that what the media game basically is nowadays? We live in an attention economy. I am very open on this channel that I'm a clout chaser, right? I will go, oh, who am I raiding today? Let's raid the big streamer. Let's feast upon the clout, right? And if you want to get seen, you have to be able to make connections to be able to do that. Now, when it was GB News is a small fledgling company, you don't want to give them legitimacy and give them a big platform, but for better or for worse, almost certainly for worse, we have GB News as being a major player in the news in news output, behind like the third behind Sky and BBC from the stats that Owen Jones was putting up on Twitter today. So, you're not ignoring them is not going to work anymore. Then they're not going to go away. It's also worth pointing out how GB News' business model works. So GB News aren't there for terrestrial viewers. They're not there to make money. They're not there for any of that. GB News are an ideological loss leader. They are basically essentially loss making at this point, having loads of money pumped into them by think tanks and private equity firms and hedge funds to try and spread their ideology. And if we don't push back, they're going to have free reign to do this. Obviously, they're going to do this by having like their nominal kind of normal news channel front that they have for their free view program they have on terrestrial television that's makes them Ofcom regulated, given this perceived legitimacy. But that's not what they're actually really there for. They get some viewers, they get some advertising money from that. They might as well if they're going to broadcast on YouTube. But really and truly, they're there for virality. They're there for clicks. They're there to be able to spread ideology and spread information. They want to get viral videos on YouTube, viral clips on Twitter, viral bits and pieces that are going to go onto Facebook to try and say, look at this trans person who's weird, haha, laugh at the weird person. That's what it's about. It's about spreading ideas, spreading influence, spreading ideology, not about making money. The idea that, you're going to, by getting people, lefties, to watch them, to engage with whatever Bastani or Walker are doing on the program, it's not going to financially do them any good. What you want to do is you need to, I think that Ziod is right in chat, that talking to people that you disagree with is a good thing, and trying to keep these siloed echo chamber bubbles, that's no longer going to be a solution for ideological success. I think I'm sort of leaning towards Michael Walker. Obviously, I point out on Twitter as well, lots of this is contingent on you actually being good in your debates. If you do badly, right, there's a person called Benjamin Butterworth who goes on GB News every Saturday. He's a very frequent, kind of liberal, kind of wishy-washy, non-leftist panelist, and he's basically there as a punching bag, right? Here's the weird-looking liberal who doesn't really actually properly, rebut any of our talking points that we can laugh at. He's basically just like a trained monkey to be used as a stick to beat the quote-unquote liberal left. That's bad. That doesn't do anything. All he's doing is legitimizing what the right wing's view of the liberals already is. Whereas I think Bastani and Walker do a better job of actually creating a contrary narrative that might interact people to their point of view. It may not actually convert people, but it puts the feelers out there. People don't have their minds changed in a single debate. They never do. But unless they start hearing a larger sphere of those opinions around them, they're going to be more likely to then turn to those ideas later on. And I think that is better than not engaging with it. That is better than not engaging with it. And I think there's one thing that actually makes my point in a way that I think shows why I think that there is at least some form of usefulness to the left for this kind of stuff. When you have a business platform that's specifically built upon creating viral clips, creating viral content, spreading things online to people to change people's minds, look at the silly person, right? I think everyone must know this moment by now, and so I'll point this out on Twitter. When Just Stop Oil sent one of their spokespeople on to Talk TV to discuss climate change issues, it was a Just Stop Oil protester, so it was just about that kind of thing. And it was with Mike Graham. And this was the very famous "you can grow concrete" moment. And this made Mike Graham look like an idiot and spread Just Stop Oil's messaging, right? And that clip was viewed probably hundreds of millions of times at this point. It went viral not just in the UK, but across the world. The global news outlets were covering what that idiot in the UK said about growing concrete, right? And that was a seminal moment for Just Stop Oil, for gaining traction in the global in kind of the global sphere of influence. And if you can create these moments, that's what GB News is good for. You don't want to be there for, to try and have like this kind of sensible debate, because GB News aren't there for that either. They're not there for a sensible debate. So why are you having a sensible debate with them? You should be either trying to humiliate them or trying to get the clip that you need to go viral to make other people who already have kind of ideologically malleable, make the other person look like an idiot, right? So I was pointing out to somebody else who quote tweeted me that Ashok Kumar, who we watch a lot, goes on Talk TV and he discusses like labour issues. He's a labour economist over at a head of political economy at the University of College of London, Birkbeck, right? And he humiliated Russell Quirk on that same show on Talk TV for not knowing what real terms pay was. He doesn't know any economists, right? These moments, they go viral. Ashok Kumar is really good at posting the clips of him debating on TikTok, getting himself to go viral, humiliating people on Talk TV with his viewpoints, right? So there is clearly scope for using this for better than just giving GB News credence, giving Talk TV credence. You have to do it right? You can't be bad. You can't, obviously that's a meaningless phrase, but you have to properly understand what your role is on these shows to try and convince people otherwise. Because again, you can't make the mistake of thinking they're there for a reasoned debate, because they're not. They want to clip you to make you look stupid too. right? That's what Benjamin Butterworth is, right? The guy who gets clipped saying the silly stuff. Yet, of course, when you go on, like Just Boyle did on Talk TV, or like Ashok Kumar does on Talk TV, right? Or Michael Walker did to Jacob Rees-Mogg, right? That's a moment you can go viral with, and that's what you're looking at. That's what you should be there for. It's very specific because you have to understand their business model, because they're not there. They're not there like Sky News. They're not there like BBC. They have a completely different modus operandi, and you've got to understand that before you get involved. But do I think that that all leftoids going on G is just grifters are in it for the money? I really don't think so. And I think that's a really reductive take from a bunch of leftists who don't quite understand the way in which the GB News business model works, what they're there for, and then how you use that to your own advantage. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider liking and subscribing. It does help out the channel and the algorithm. And if you click the bell notification icon, it will let you know when I go live and when I upload videos. If you'd like to follow me on social media, my handle is @NoJusticeMTG, and that is Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. If you want to support my channel in a more financial manner, you can do so by becoming a member for just 99p, by super chatting, or by supporting me on Patreon, with the link is in the description of this video, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next segment.